سبحان فالق الإصباح.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another edition of Light the Fuse right here on hackerhumming.podbean.com, as well as Hacker Humming everywhere on iTunes, Spotify, Google, and every other podcast outlet, as well as right here on YouTube. We are not live this week, but we are recording this, so you should be viewing it on YouTube at a later time. So we appreciate you tuning in to our subscriber base as it continues to grow here on Hamin Media Group. As well, we thank you for submitting your podcast to us, the Hamin Media Group 5-star search. So get them in by sending it to Hamin Media Group at gmail.com. I've bantered on, I've yamped, blah, blah, blah. I'm just going on and on here. It's Sunday. We're not normally recording on a Sunday, but we're one man short because it's his birthday. Oh, I just stooged that off. But ladies and gentlemen, the star of the show is here. The reason you listen to this show each and every week, to get to hear the knowledge from the sexiest man on Hamin Media Group. I'm sorry, Stevie Richards, but Silvio's about 15 years younger. No, he's not. Stevie's not that old, but El Silvio's got the age on you. So with age comes beauty. Mr. Silvio has the knowledge as well. Welcome back, sir. To Like the Fuse.
Hello, MSG. Thank you for having me back on my own show / your show. Yeah, Amin's fucking off somewhere. I think he's back in the bunker. We may have a special guest running in at some point today. So for our video watchers here, stay tuned. We might have a little something special for you. But I know my man MSG got some good shit cooking today. I'm ready to talk some wrestling. I'm a little pissed at AEW. I'm going to start off the bat. I'm usually very pro AEW. I'm not happy about this damn delay in the schedule. Because not only does it complicate our lives, but it complicates our fans' lives. They're like, when is the next Like the Fuse? And I made it a point to rush home to get my ass home by 6 yesterday. And I'm watching the goddamn NBA game that I have no interest in seeing. No offense, NBA fans.
Right.
For like 20 minutes. What the fucking...
Hey, I feel your pain, Mr. Silvio. Like I got home, same thing. I'm hanging out and I'm like, I'm going to take a nap because I got home at around 11 and I'm sleeping around 11, 45 noon. I'm like, all right, get cleaned up, lay down. I'll take a 3-hour nap, watch AEW. So I did that. And I woke up at 3 and that basketball game continued for another 30 minutes. And I was like, man, I could have slept for another 30 minutes. What the hell was this? So I was very disappointed. And I will say there was in a typical fashion of a wrestling show, this definitely was the roller coaster. It took you up, it took you down. And I will say going away from this episode, I was satisfied, but we'll get more into that. To recap here, some AEW stuff before we get into that. Did you have any hot topics, issues, Silvio? We haven't talked, normally we talk on Wednesday. So now it's Sunday. So that's 11 days since I've gotten to see your beautiful face. Anything in the world of Silvio you want to share? Any thoughts, knowledge you want to drop on us today?
Yeah, I know it feels a little weird. It's been a while. I did clean up a little bit. Our viewers that check us out on YouTube, I look a little more sharp, a little more debonair, which again is another reason why you got to watch the video. We're not live today, unfortunately, but next week, get your asses on the live stream. Yeah, I got some hot news. Are you a fan of Always Sunny in Philadelphia?
I've seen a couple episodes. My buddy Darren is huge into it.
So your buddy Darren probably knows one of the ongoing jokes in the show is news. Mac always comes in with news. What's the news? Hot news. So here's the hot news. You remember a few weeks ago when Eric Bischoff did the seg on Dynamite with Cassidy and Jericho?
Yeah.
When he did the debate. So we had discussed on the show weeks prior that we thought Eric would be coming in, because we always know what we're talking about here on Light the Fuse. So it turns out that someone had leaked that Bischoff was there that night. Somebody that was part of the tapings. and I found out who it was. Jericho does that Saturday night special on Facebook Live, and I tuned in for
Okay.
the first time the other night. It's pretty interesting. He just sits down at a desk in his office, a lot like mine, and talks about wrestling, answers fan questions. It's pretty cool. If you've never checked it out, just like Jericho's page on Facebook, and he streams live, I think, every Saturday night that he's not touring. So a question came up, and he brought up the fact that they almost got it to where nobody knew Bischoff was there, and we all know how hard that is in wrestling because somebody stooges everything. So, of course, someone in this case did. And Jericho says, he gives a hint. He says it was some NXT reject, and he will never be back in AEW. So I was like, wow, that was pretty powerful. Sounds like this guy's got some heat. So I did a little digging on just who could this person would be, and the fact that he said he. And I had determined that that happened to be the week that Tino Sabatelli, former NXT talent, was doing AEW Dark. So to my knowledge, he was the only former NXT male at the taping that day. So it appears that Tino's Sabatino, or whatever the hell his name is, sabotaged himself at AEW. And if it wasn't him, it was another NXT reject. So that's kind of hot news for the week.
Yeah, I we had speculated on the show earlier, or I guess maybe it was on the Impact Attack, because that's what my thought was too, was that it could either be Tony Sabatelli, and then there was one other name somebody had brought up too that was like a former NXT star, but everybody had the assumption was that it was Tony Sabatelli.
Who was the other one there?
I can't remember right now. It wasn't somebody that I'm well aware of. The Tony Sabatelli guy, that once I looked at him and I saw a picture of him and I saw how this guy was built, I was like, oh, okay. Like, that's a guy that you remember. So I don't remember what the other guy's name was. And that's my apologies here. But ladies and gentlemen, if you know what that guy's name was, you can feel free to send us your email here at likethefuse@gmail.com. Because of course, of our impromptu recording schedule, I didn't want to have you guys send in your emails because we didn't know when we were going to record at the time. But you are, of course, welcome to send them in if you have any thoughts. We'll be happy to read them here in more iterations of the show. I assume we'll record some point in time. I think they're going to be live Thursday this week. So I guess maybe we could record Friday.
Another wrench into our schedules.
I guess we'll have to try to figure something out. But that being said, you guys are here to hear. You're here to hear. You're here to listen. You're here to understand and learn and grasp Chris Silvio's knowledge and opinion on last night's AEW Saturday night. So to get into former statistics like we do here on every episode, last week's AEW, or the August 12th edition, that being now, as I mentioned, 11 days ago, 792,000 viewers. That was down from the August 5th, 901,000 viewership. However, that week of 792,000 viewers, they did beat NXT, which their total viewership was 619,000. Tonight's competition being NXT, their takeover, which had some spectacular matches, I hear, from Pat McAfee versus Adam Cole to Keith Lee versus Karrion Kross, and also heard some pretty different opinions on the latter match. We've got Ben Hamin, who did not care for it, but I saw a lot of people in the Hamin Media discussion group who liked it. So, varying opinions, and I'm sure on the Monday locker room tomorrow, Ben will be able to give you his more thoughts in depth. But Silvio, did you watch NXT at all on TakeOver before we get in? Did you have any quick thoughts on that? Something you'd like to point out?
I was going to want to bring this up. Pat McAfee stole the show, man. My God. Have you seen it yet?
I have not.
Okay, awesome. You'll dig it, dude. So McAfee got, to people that don't know, McAfee got drunk and ordered a ring one night, forgot that he ordered it, and a few weeks later it shows up on his doorstep. I wish I had money like that.
Right.
And so he gets it and decides he wants to wrestle, decides to hire my coach, and Hamin's coach, Rip Rogers.
Ted's
Rip
coach.
goes up there with Von Lilas, another Rip-trained wrestler. Randy Kaufman, who's a Randall Floyd pro wrestler, who was a NCAA wrestler, now turned pro, very talented. Some of the OVW boys. Worked with McAfee for a few weeks, teach him the basics. And then I guess he, when this match with Cole was determined, I know he consulted with Rip. I don't know how much input Rip had on the match itself. For a first match, Pat McAfee had the best first match I've ever seen anyone have in my life, and that covers a lot of ground. McAfee, he understood timing and performance better than most guys you see on independents, and even some people you see on television. He was no technical marvel. He didn't do a lot of moves. He didn't do a lot of holds. And really his only weak areas in the match was because it was his first match and he's maybe combined had 3 months training in his life. The only thing he did that didn't look good was when he was taking certain moves. It takes months of practice to even learn how to bump and years of practice to learn the timing of how to make your opponent's move look great. So anyone that thinks they could just get in there and have me give you one of my special moves and it looks like you saw on TV, no, that ain't how the fuck it works. It takes a long time to figure out how to make someone else look just as good as you. So those are just a few times where Adam Cole did his Adam Cole moves, and they didn't look as good as they normally do, but it's not Pat's fault. It's his first match. Outside of that, dude, his timing, he would stop at all the precise moments to talk shit, to get facials in the camera. They told a fantastic story centered around the punt. McAfee was a Pro Bowl punter, so it only makes sense he's going to try to punt Adam Cole. So they base the match around this punt. And at some point, he goes for it, and he misses, and he kicks the steel steps. So now his punting foot is injured. Now it's in jeopardy. And that, I don't want to spoil the finish because you haven't seen it. I'm sure you know already, but I want you to enjoy the match. But as the match progressed, we saw that leg come into play. So some great psychology. We saw some crazy athleticism from McAfee. At one point, the motherfucker backflipped off the top rope, landed on his feet.
Oh.
Sorry, I got to spoil this for you, Maddie. Then proceeded to run and jump to the top rope in one hop and superplex Adam Cole.
Wow.
First match. So he was dope. I wasn't fond of Keith Lee and Cross. I thought for two big men, not to toot my own horn, but my punches look like they could hurt more, and I weigh 160 pounds. Their strikes in that match were not very good. And I think the McAfee match kind of took the wind out of the sails a lot because there was so much going on. The women came after that, and they had a pretty damn good match, Dakota and Io. So by the time the main event came on, following the ladder match, following McAfee, following the women, I feel like the energy in the building was kind of low, and there were two bigger guys at a slower pace, and some of the hits just didn't match their size. So it was all right. Unfortunately, I believe that Cross got injured during a lariat.
Yeah, separated his shoulder. That's what they're saying. He's going to have an MRI tomorrow.
What a bitch, huh? First match.
Well, I mean, it wasn't his first match. No, the first time winning the title. Yeah. Yeah, first time winning the title. That's got to be hard on someone, but it's accidents happen, and it sounds like it's a separated shoulder, which is not necessarily the most severe injury, right? As long as there's no tear, it's generally something like he could take a couple of weeks off or a month, and with his regiment, he could probably come back and be fine, and they could hide that with TV tapings, right? He doesn't have to actually wrestle. So in his case, he's got such a good character that if he only misses 3 to 4 weeks or they can't use him in the ring, it might even make the viewer want him more. I was pissed that he wasn't on the last episode of NXT, the Go Home. I watched that with Ted and Colin, which you can listen back on here on Hacker Hamin. And I was like, what the hell? This is the second time I reviewed NXT, and Killer Cross doesn't wrestle, or he doesn't even show up live. But that makes sense, supposed to get you to come back, right? So, however, the rest of the show doesn't usually end up getting me to come back. But the Pat McAfee segment with Adam Cole and his guys, and what was the other Undisputed Era? His guys in the ring, the pre-show the pre-go home face-to-face interaction. I like that, and I thought McAfee cut a good promo then. So I'll definitely be interested to see.
He's entertaining as hell, man.
Yeah. I mean, he's got I guess one of the biggest podcasts, right? With DraftKings now. They give him a bunch of money. And so good for him. It's
Barstool
awesome.
Sports deal. I can give you a little insight. I mean, this is what I'm here for, right? I'm the pro on the show. I can tell you exactly what it's like wrestling on a separated shoulder. During one of the more prominent eras of OVW, I had transitioned from being a tag wrestler into becoming the psychedelic superstar that the world knows and loves.
Yeah,
and I worked for 9 months to get onto the upper card. And I worked my ass off in the gym, at home, every week. I didn't miss anything. I would do all these tricks. At one time, I got like 40 fans outside of the building all together in like a rally kind of chant. Demand we put Silvio on TV and filmed it.
That's awesome.
Like I went balls to the wall with it. So I finally get my opportunities on a house show on a Saturday. I try to take the fucking Shawn Michaels spin bump that Dolph Ziggler does now. So for those watching, they take a punch and they do a 360 and land on their stomach.
Right.
So what happened was I took that punch and I over-rotated and I landed on my shoulder.
Ooh.
And I separated my shoulder at a house show in front of 60 people. And I'm fucked. And I get to so one of my shoulders was hanging a couple inches. So I get to TV and Alice knows, what are you doing today? Blah, blah, blah. You're winning the TV title today. I went from fighting to get on TV to winning the TV title. So, okay, shit. Yeah, I'm wrestling. So I do the match. I win the title. And I proceed to hold the title for a year. I couldn't say no. I couldn't say I'm taking time off now. And during that same time period, I had just gotten my foot in the door with Ring of Honor. So it was so bad working on a separated shoulder. Before the match, I would do a pose where I'd hold the belt above my head, much like the referee does before a championship match. And I went to do it. If you go back to OVW TV in 2011, you could see this a couple of times, where I went to raise it with both hands and one shoulder would give out and I'd hold the thing with one arm. So what I learned from that experience was how to be an entertainer, because I could wrestle my ass off and do the moves, but I was fucked. So I had to figure out how to be interesting, how to do gaga, learn how to do comedy. I had managers on the floor, so I learned how to incorporate them. I got an actual little person to come out during my entrance and jump through a hula hoop dressed in a bear suit. You know, that's what I started. It sounds fucking crazy, right? But that's when I started getting that performer aspect. So it's a blessing and a curse. It's still screwed up to this day, but it really helped me grow as a performer because I had to work with one arm and I'm a cruiserweight. So, you know, it's difficult. So cross, even though it's just separated, bro, that shit hurts, and it hurts for a long time.
No, I think also I'm definitely, I don't disagree with the pain, obviously. I think it benefits him in this case that he got this injury in the middle of this kind of COVID thing where we're not doing house shows, and he doesn't have to be on the road working every night, sleep in an uncomfortable bed. He can go work if they need him to come in and do TV taping or something like that over the next 2 weeks, comes in for a couple hours, whatever it has to do, and then he can go back to wherever he needs to go back, right? So I mean, it versus getting into a car, get onto a plane, traveling, going through that daily grind. He can at least somewhat try and rehab it in a more positive manner. I imagine you, man, that's hard, dude. A year you just went on that shoulder? That's crazy, man.
Well, dude, I'm an animal. We'll talk off the air one day.
That's crazy. Well, let's move on to AEW. Gosh, I'm getting so mixed up here. As they were the key competition, as we mentioned. Now, last week's YouTube viewership was down immensely, as it was at 2,532,289. That is down from 4,656,751, and that is total views. Now, as far as the what were the overall lowest, the most viewed video was Orange Cassidy's, which was 643,000, and that was his win. That got 600,000 views 650,000 round up. Least viewed was I'm Still Waiting, Bring It On. That got 75,784 views. The average viewership between all of their videos, was about 252,000. So
who was in that one? I'm Still Waiting, Bring It On.
I don't remember, to be quite honest. It's been a while.
What's his name? Cousin Mark will tell us next week. Cousin Mark, give me the Stooge next week.
All right, so let's get into AEW Dynamite tonight, or from last night, Saturday night. So I thought tonight's AEW Dynamite started off interesting. We didn't really get any promos, no pyro, nothing. They kind of counterbalanced that whole, WWE Thunderdome thing. I don't know if you got to see that, and I don't want to go down that rabbit hole, but I will say that from a production standpoint, it was interesting. Thought it was kind of, cool, but also at the same time, a lot of things need to be fixed. Too much lights, too much flashing, too much strobe. Yeah, don't watch it then.
These glasses on, they're blue blockers.
Okay. Oh, but if they're blue blockers, then you might be able to watch it, because that's what it all was. It was blue. It was just tons of flashing blue and all this stuff. Anyway, that being said, so they came in hot, no pyro, no nothing, and it's just FTR versus Private Party, maybe trying to kind of play off that, okay, end of the NBA game. So I could see what they were going with that mindset, like coming in hot, like WCW used to do when they would be preempted, right? So they start the show off, though, with Tully Blanchard, and he's out there with FTR, and Aubrey Edwards gets control, and we're left with Dax Harwood in the ring and Mark Quinn as FTR takes on Private Party in this match. I was a little disappointed that we didn't get some sort of like pop-up window or something during the match of like a backstage thing with Tully and FTR, like, we've decided to go with FTR, blah, 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 blah. Something simple, something dumb, because I felt like JR didn't really mention Tully and FTR till like the end of the match. So that whole time, unfortunately, I'm thinking, why is Tully out there? Like, is he with them? Is he not with them? Or did I miss something as a viewer? I watch the show every week. I watch BTE, and I ask another person, and they're like, well, I think they said something on their YouTube or something. And I was like, wait, now I got to go follow their YouTube. But I went there and there was nothing. So
when you say maybe YouTube, are you referencing FTR's YouTube?
Yeah, FTR has their own YouTube thing, I guess. I don't know what they do on it, but like I looked up FTR and Tully Blanchard, and they had something that had come up from 2 days ago, but it had nothing to do with them being together, right? It was just like more of them being interviewed and bringing up different people, stuff like that, keywords, if you will. But this was a good match. I mean, FTR itself and the Private Party, they worked really well. Toward the latter half or the end of the match, we see Quinn, going back and forth with Hardwood, and he see him springboard crossbody onto him. He surprised him with a jackknife cover, and then Hardwood bridged up, went for a roll up. Cassidy, though, makes the save, tosses Hardwood to the outside. Cassidy looks to springboard to the outside, but Tully pulls away, and then Cassidy crashes and burns. And then we see back on the inside, Quinn bouncing off the ropes. FTR sets up and delivers the Shatter Machine to pick up the victory. Winner of this match, FTR. What did you think of this match?
First off, for the opening, I like how AEW did that last night. And I'm a big fan of AEW always getting right to business. Pretty much every week, as soon as the show hits, someone's coming to the ring. We may get a video package sometimes, and sometimes we even start in the ring. Like I feel like it was just a couple weeks ago where the match started with Omega in the ring, and whoever he was teaming with didn't even get an introduction. So I like that they were doing that. I was so happy to see Tully with the Revival and then finally being heels that I completely disregarded the fact that it wasn't explained to me or anyone else, evidently. And then as the match is progressing, all I remember is I want to say it was Shivani who said some line about after what they did to Ricky, after what Ricky Morton did to Tully, like insinuating, I guess, that the Revival was trying to get Ricky Morton back for something that happened to Tully years ago when they feuded. I don't know. But as far as the match itself, it was so refreshing to see a traditional tag match again on TV and on AEW. As you guys know, I'm a big fan of a lot of the tags in AEW. I love a Lucha Brothers match. I love Hangman and Omega's work. The Bucks are awesome. But it was nice seeing a traditionally worked and paced tag match. The only downside of this match is that it kind of exposed Private Party in a way. One being Private Party's not used to working that traditional technical style. They're all fireworks, they're big bangs and sells, and there was a lot of psychology in this match, and there was a lot of simple things that were built to become something greater. And just looking by the sizes of them, it looked like they were almost fighting like teenagers. No offense to Private Party, who I think have tremendous upside. I'd love to be able to work with them. If I were booking for a company, I'd do everything I can to get them all the experience they can and push them to the moon, and build them up organically. But those two look like grown-ass men. You know what I mean? So standing next to Private Party, it didn't look like much of a contest. So like when we got the tag and I saw Cassidy clothesline in the bigger one, Cash, I think is his name now, and he took a bump, I'm like, just didn't sit right with me. I love my destroyers and crazy high spots, but that's when the old school and Silvio comes out like, Maddie, you cannot run up to Hamin and knock him over with the clothesline. I'd like to think I'm at least 50 pounds stronger than you, no offense, and I can't run up to Hamin and knock him down with the clothesline. So it drives me bonkers in wrestling when somebody with a 10-inch arm clotheslines a 200-plus pound man or woman and they bump. I digress. Great psychology.
No, I get it. Like I got my dad, my best friend's dad is like 6'9", big old black guy, bouncer dude. And he'll, when we were kids growing up, he would show us different MMA moves and stuff like that. And when, I got to a point when I was like an adult and I would try to be locking on just like a simple like guillotine. And he was like, boy, I'm not going to let you lock this in on me. Like, you can't lock this in on me. I'm too big for this shit. You know what I mean? So like, he's like, I'm going to teach it to you, but you ain't going to use it on me. Like, so, bigger guy, so I couldn't take him down even if I tried. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So any offense they got should have been flying, which it was, or something out quicking. Then once the guy from the Revival's stunned, that's when we can maybe see them throwing some hands and kicks to set up bigger moves. But I enjoyed it, man. It was a refreshing tag match. I think they might get a few complaints, however, because I haven't checked on Twitter to see what the response was. I did expect them to give Private Party a little bit more on the back end of the match because we're used to seeing Private Party do so many crazy moves. And I think in this match, we saw the least amount of crazy moves. But again, it is proper psychology because FTR is an upper tier tag team and Private Party's kind of a lower card tag team. And with the size comparison, traditionally speaking, FTR should steamroll through Private Party. But that's really not how things work in AEW. They tend to work same size a lot more in AEW. And like later on in the card, we see Omega selling his ass off for the much smaller heels. So I think some core AEW fans might get a little offended by that, but remains to be seen. I liked it, though. I thought it was one of the best matches of last night on both shows.
It was a good start. I liked how it started off with that traditional style. I think the match was only like 13, 14 minutes, so it's not like it dragged on or anything. Both teams got some opportunities to showcase their offense. But you're right, FTR definitely dictated the pace of this match. It wasn't Private Party's normal spot fest, as people might say, right? It was definitely more, slower pace, building to a climax at the end, with FTR eventually getting the victory. You mentioned you didn't understand the Morton reference. I think that had something to do with they had said in their the promo afterwards, they explain it, that they felt disrespected, that they felt that that Ricky Morton, that they had invited them to the show and to the tag team appreciation night. And when they got there, they put the Young Bucks over instead of them. So I think that was what they were saying. That's why they attacked Ricky Morton. Because I think that gets explained later with Hangman Page, if I'm correct.
Yeah, I remember that segment. There was a line, though, that referenced something Ricky did to Tully. I got to go back and watch it.
Interesting.
But I'm sure cousin Mark and his son will fill us in.
Well, let's moving on then, I guess you might say, to our next like backstage segment. Actually, what it was Mox. So John Moxley says MJF is on a campaign and it doesn't bother him that the stuff he says. If he wanted real dirt about him, just ask his, just talk to him. Talk to his wife. Is that what he said? She's got the good stuff. Mox says that MJF talks a lot, and the guys that talk that much usually have something to hide. But he says that while MJF says that he's great, and he is, and that he will take the company to the next 25 years, and he genuinely hopes that someone great like him can do that, because Mox knows he's not going to be here for the next 25 years. Interestingly enough, he says he wakes up in the morning and he only feels like he has 18 months. So I thought that was an interesting line. But he wants the company to succeed, and while he knows that he is a future world champion, that day is not on September 5th. On September 5th, ladies and gentlemen, is All Out, where Mox will be defending the title against MJF. He says that on September 5th, he's going to come at him hard. He's going to drive his head into MJF's head, split his head wide open, and then ultimately dump him on his head. And the whole world will find out what MJF is hiding. Because that was the whole point of his promo, right? It was like, what are you hiding, I guess? What did you think of the Mox's promo? Did you get you more pumped for this match? Or did you like MJF's promo better, which we'll get into afterwards? I can go into that if you want.
I like them both.
Okay.
I love Moxley's promos. His promos now in AEW, when he gets to be John Moxley, or whatever his real name is, they're phenomenal. Him being himself is money. I love Moxley, as you guys hear me put it over all the time. It was a great call to put the belt on him, both for viewership, financial reasons. But he also was the right man for the job. When they needed a babyface, I think either he or Cody would have been perfect examples. But we all know where the direction of Cody went. Great promo. What I found more interesting than the 18-month line, because that resonated with me as a wrestler. So I know exactly what he meant. You not being a wrestler, it sat with you differently. So I understood that comment. And he's, around my age. So, we never know when our time clock's going to be punched for the final time. What I found most interesting is that he referenced his wife. I don't know if that was like a fourth wall thing, kind of to get the smart marks talking, or if there's anything to that. If maybe
I don't know.
There's potential.
Yeah, because Renee, I mean, we didn't really bring that up, but I guess it kind of did break over the weekend that Renee Young is going to be leaving. So, I mean, maybe that's what he meant by kind of breaking the fourth wall. Why don't you go talk to my wife, right? Because she's going to be doing her own shoot podcast. I don't know.
So there you go. I think we might have Renee coming in.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, if you've been watching on the video here, you'll probably be like, what the heck's all these screens here? I'm actually just flashing all of our sponsors here. The first one that you saw, of course, was just a hacker on me, Zorda's Olive Oil. There was a Tech Meme Ride Home podcast, and this is Master Shoot Theater I'm showcasing right here, or at least the information on Truth with Consequences, patreon.com/RussoTWC. So you're only getting to see all this fancy stuff I'm doing if you're watching the video. Nice. But after that, we went into MJF's. Well, it wasn't really even his promo. It was another guy. Do you know who this? I don't know who this guy was that did this promo, who was acting as his lawyer. But the guy cut a pretty good promo. Who was acting as a lawyer. They at least they found somebody. They didn't go out and just get some random guy that couldn't talk. If he is a worker, they made sure he could talk. Because he did a pretty good promo here, speaking on behalf of MJF. MJF's there with his whole staff. He's got a neck brace and a walker. And he starts to talk. He says that last week, Moxley attacked him from behind because he is too afraid to take him one-on-one. He says that the paradigm shift is an abomination and it could have ended him. And then he says, he's got someone else to speak for him. And now his lawyer gets on the mic and he says that last week he almost ended MJF's career. He says that the paradigm shift, AKA the double arm DDT, I like how they actually, told you what the move was, is a potentially deadly move. So he says that he has a contract that will ban the paradigm shift from the match. And why wouldn't Mox sign it? He's a true badass. So why would he need one more little move to beat MJF? He tells Moxley to sign it, and the ball's in his court. Fantastic promo from the lawyer here. And I like that they added another stipulation to this. that they're trying to ban the move. I like when they do simple stipulations. I don't like sometimes when they need to go over the top with hardcore, all these crazy weapons. It's just, oh, can't use this move, or it's a submission hold, or it's a submission, a match, or it's a last man standing 10 count, gets a 10 count Iron Man match. I don't necessarily. I like when they add little stipulations, seem a little realistic. You're like, okay, yeah, Mox has pretty much beat everybody with this paradigm shift. No one has kicked out. So it's a good way for MJF to try and isolate something that's been it's been like effective against everybody.
And also, what happens if Moxley takes the match and that move is banned and MJF beats him? What is the possible reason why Moxley didn't win in that case?
Because, I was going to say, because Mox is going to hit the paradigm shift, not thinking in his own craziness. He hits the paradigm shift, boom, match ends, MJF wins. Yeah. And then the Mox never technically takes the pin, right?
That's one way. Or the other way is it gives them a way out. So a lot of times when you're trying to book guys strong, you always want to find a way to give them a way out that's not going to hurt them too bad. So that can also play into a reason as to why, if MJF wins, why Moxley didn't win is because he couldn't use his normal hold. Or what we'll probably see is a ref bump and MJF paradigm shifts Jon Moxley, and we get a new champion.
It's interesting.
But can I talk about the segment now?
Yeah, go ahead.
Because I loved it. My notes begin with the word superb. 10 out of 10. I know you're listening somewhere from afar, and I'd like to speculate that this was Ben Hamin's favorite segment and that he truly loved this. The continuity in this was phenomenal, from all of the staff members to the reference to Gum Guy to the reference to Smiling Girl, who kept the smile the entire time during a serious promo, looking awkward as hell, staring, not moving. Perfect. MJF's, hey, Uncle Stevie, how you doing over there? MJF's delivery, where he was selling this like he was really hurt and cutting this emotional promo about his neck and wanted to play catch. I want to have kids one day, John, and I want to be able to play catch. And I can't do that because of you. So he was cutting this.
That was right.
And MJF being so good, he even has a tear starting to come to his eye. So as a viewer, you start going, okay, are they doing an injury? If you don't know the business that well, you're probably saying, okay, are they doing an injury angle with MJF? Like, is he hurt? Throughout it, we see that it's a heel tactic employed by MJF, but his delivery was phenomenal. Then we get this new character, the lawyer guy. I'm not sure who he is. He looks familiar. I feel like I've run into him somewhere in my travels, possibly Impact. Do not quote me on that, but he does look familiar. This lawyer did a hell of a job, and I love that they're doing an old school stipulation. That's Memphis, baby. Pile driver, and you're disqualified. Jerry Lawler hit it and broke Andy Kaufman's neck. Andy Kaufman gets carted out. Kayfabes it for the entire week. You know, the entire world thinks that wrestler Jerry Lawler just broke comedian Andy Kaufman's neck. And a lot of companies that was banned. I know in OVW, it may still be, but I know for a long time in OVW, pile drivers were banned. It might have been banned in the Bill Watts era of OVW. So this is that similar psychology. I love it. I love when they do things like that in wrestling. I love high spots and cool, innovative shit. But, sometimes classics are classics for a reason, and that shit always works. So great delivery all around. I can't say one thing that could have made that better.
No, I can't disagree, but I thought both segments were great. I also liked that it was a nice breakup as far as after having such a good tag team match to open up, that we got a nice break with some segments here, and it wasn't just, all right, let's go right back into wrestling. They kind of gave you some opportunity to let the feud build, and they had the interactions right away. It wasn't, something where you were, oh, I guess we'll wait and see what this person's going to say. It was, no, here's his response. So there was kind of like a realism factor to that, that in my opinion, like if I'm not just saying, this is gonna sound stupid. If I was a wrestler, right? But if I'm a wrestler in a wrestler storyline and someone's talking crap, I'm not gonna be like, well, I'm gonna wait a couple hours to go say something. You know what I mean? So
Right.
I like the logic of him responding right away, of having his cabinet like ready to go. So after that, then I believe, yes, if I'm correct here, we did get into our next match, is what it was. We had our next follow-up match here on AEW Dynamite. Well, this was a let's see here. I believe it was the 8-man. Yeah, the 8-man Lucha Bros, Butcher and Blade taking on Jungle Express and the Natural Nightmares. This was a lot of action. So we went from opening up right with that classical, and this definitely had more of the chaos, the high spots, the action. I didn't take a lot of notes here, but this is what I wrote. Super fast-paced match, a lot of action. Finally, we got Dustin and the Blade in the ring. Blade sends Dustin off the ropes. Dustin runs into a knee from the outside from the Butcher. They pull him to the outside. We have chaos once again, and then we get Jungle Boy with a surprise cover on the Blade for the victory. So hopefully you have better notes than I did, Silvio, because there's a lot going on.
There was, dude. There was so much going on. It was hard to take notes. And I'm getting into a thing now. So previously what I would do is as the show happens, I would take notes on the spot. A few weeks ago, I watched an entire episode and took notes at the end. And I found I was able to be more invested in the show that way.
Me too.
So this week I waited till the end of the match to take the notes so I could give it my full attention instead of stopping the writing. But no, I thought it was cool. At this point of the show, I was really enjoying the pacing. I felt like it was flying by and it was moving quick. And I don't mean quick in a bad way, like everybody's working too fast. There was a really nice flow to the show. They were going seamless from one segment to the other. And it kind of seemed like a big deal at this point in the show. I'm not sure if it's because it was on a Saturday that maybe that helped it, because it made it feel a little bit different. But something about the show was feeling special at this point. The match itself was pretty good. There was a lot of moving parts and a lot of differing styles. So I think it was really hard for them to tell a story in this one. We didn't get much of a story until the end, but we just got an exhibition of moves. And a couple of my highlights from this, Jungle Boy going for that dive onto Butcher, and Butcher just completely misses him. Then Jungle Boy gets up, runs, dives out onto somebody else, then runs back and does a flip dive onto Butcher and Blade, so they made up for that one. There was a weird thing in there, too, with Pentagon and Luchasaurus, where Pentagon was getting choke slammed, and he didn't go up for some reason. I don't know if there was a language barrier or miscue. So it was a weird choke slam, and that threw off Big Man's chi, and he did like a sloppy moonsault. So for some reason, something about those two were off. Ray Phoenix was on point as always. I love Ray Phoenix. Ray Phoenix, man, Ray Phoenix should be AEW's version of Rey Mysterio. He is so good and so unique. Eventually, I love this tag team, but they're both such good wrestlers. I want to see them stand alone eventually. Let's get a third Lucha brother so one of them can fuck off. And I think Ray Phoenix would be that guy. I don't know how good his English is, but if I were booking the show, I'd push Ray Phoenix to the moon. I don't think he's the guy that's going to have a Jon Moxley title run, but we can give him that Rey Mysterio title run where it's a big deal when it happens. It's a feel-good moment. He's a smaller guy fighting from underneath, so maybe he don't hold on to it that long, but he's a top-tier main event star. Good match overall for the most part. Jenna did call the finish when they were doing the arguing spot, and I think it was Pentagon that shoves Blade, and then Blade gets pinned again on TV and gets rolled up by Jungle Boy for the Schoolboy. So good thing Jungle got a win on TV because he hasn't gotten too many recently on his own. But unfortunately, we saw Blade go down for the count again, and then they argue like school children, according to our man who comes out next.
Yeah, so after that, we get, I guess you might say it was more of the post action, or was more the story here, is after the Lucha Bros are, they went on that assault and lose, right? We've got the man coming back out to All Elite Wrestling, and that's Eddie Kingston. And we saw him in his match against Cody, and they announced that he was signed full time. So good to see that they were reusing him. But he comes out, he cuts a promo on Blade and the Butcher, which you can see here on Twitch or on our video here, at least with no audio, but you can see that he's yelling at Blade and the Butcher, Pentagon, and Phoenix, and saying that he rides or dies with these guys. These are his boys. He's been up and down the road with all 4 of them, and that they need to get their act together, Silvio. And by the end of this, what we end up seeing is it looks like Kingston is going to be their voice. He's going to be their leader. He's going to be their coach, their manager, which I remember when he did kind of this similar in LAX in Impact Wrestling. It was phenomenal. So I'm definitely excited to see where this goes. And I'm definitely happy that AEW is giving focus to Butcher and Blade because they have not used them well since they've debuted.
Yeah. He said, "Are you a tag team champion? Are you a tag team champion? You guys are over here arguing like children." That's the best Eddie Kingston I got. But no, fucking awesome.
It looked like it matched up with the video. It was great, actually.
See, I know my shit, man.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a reason why I'm one of the top 3 workers in North America, Matty B. And now, evidently, according to recent polls that you can find somewhere online, one of the top 3 podcasters in North America. But no, Eddie Kingston came out. He delivered a hot promo, unified all these guys. They bro hugged it out. Then we got an interesting wink and smile into the camera.
Yes.
So I'm wondering where that's going. Is he trying to play him? But congrats to Eddie for getting a spot that motherfucker earned over 20 years. He's bare bones, hard nosed, dude. Eddie Kingston paid every due you can in the world. He worked in front of 20 people. He's worked in front of thousands of people. He's worked for $5. He's worked for $500. So there isn't a more deserving man of a spot on television. So congrats to him. Couple quick things we did miss out of the match. We did get a back body drop into a Canadian destroyer from Dustin Rhodes. Jenna always likes to say, what move is Dustin going to do tonight? Because as you notice in most of Dustin's matches now, he tries to bust out one thing different that kind of fits the new AEW direction. So it came out a little wonky because Dustin's tall as hell and he destroyed Rey Fenix. But we did get that spot.
The back body Canadian, what did you call it?
So somebody back body dropped Dustin Rhodes.
Right.
And he landed on Phoenix and gave Rey Fenix a destroyer out of that.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. Gotcha.
Somebody dropped him into it. It was a really cool spot.
Well, after that, I mean, do you have any other spots you want to go over? Any other points in the match you liked?
No,
we get to the Britt Baker segment.
No, I think that's about it. All I got.
Right. So then we get to Britt Baker is in the gym. She's interrupted by Kip Sabian and Penelope Ford, who are, kind of all on top of each other. They're, making out, if you will. She says that she has a problem that she needs help with. Now, she kind of, I guess you might say, coerces them, blackmails them, kind of uses a scare tactic, barters, basically says that, from kissing, you can, create some sort of dental problem from the bacteria. And based on that, they might have dental issues now, but she's willing to treat them for free, even up to a year, if they're willing to help her deal with Big Swole. And she offers to make it up for a year if she joins them in a handicap match, Swole, Ford. And then, of course, I think she accepts. Penelope Ford was happy to do this for her. I'm assuming you really like this. She's Britt Baker's phenomenal, right?
So yeah, she offers the free dental care, and Ford's still not going for it. And then she throws in, Reba will also do your makeup for a year. Reba says, "What? Free?" Britt says, "Shut up," and then goes back to the promo. Love that. That was my favorite part. Their interaction is classic. Another hilarious moment that we now see in this promo is once we get the camera to pan onto Sabian and Ford, she stops them from presumably making out, and he pretends he's lifting weights, and he goes 69,000. Right. So I thought that was a funny little wink and nod there.
She also Reba to do makeup, right? And Reba's not happy about that.
Every year. That's why she told her to shut up.
Yeah.
You guys know I love anything Britt Baker right now. I love this character. I'll tell you what I don't love, though. we've seen Britt on TV now 5 weeks in a row. They're giving Britt Baker 1 minute of TV time a week. Britt Baker is the women's division. She may not be the best worker they have there, the most experience. Head and shoulders above everyone else, Britt is the most entertaining character. The thing she has right now with Reba, who's stepping her ass up, another OVW girl, a little shout out there, and doing a phenomenal job. We're not seeing more of her. If I were booking this show, man, give me more Britt. You remember some of Jericho's segments on Nitro, like when he would do the list and he started doing the conspiracy campaign, and he'd come out with the one with Dean Malenko where he holds up the picture and he's calling him like Stinko Malenko and Ron Mysterio. Like, there are all these entertaining little segments that Jericho got between matches where he could go out and be Jericho for a few minutes and play off of Ralphus. And it made us all Jericho-holics to this day. You have the opportunity to do that every single week with young, talented Britt Baker and Rebel, who's got more experience and a lot of experience as a performer. Rebel's not the world's greatest wrestler. She does an adequate job, but, she got in the game a little bit later in life, but she's a performer. She was a model. She was a Dallas Cowboys cheerleader. She did other kind of performance thing. She was in that country music video, Honky Tonk Badonka Donk. Like, she's a performer. That's why.
Honky Tonk Badonka Donk.
That's a little tidbit for you guys. Go check out that video if you haven't.
I didn't know that.
You can see Reba in it. But no, the point is that she's a good performer. Britt's a good performer. Put them on TV more. Everybody's been complaining a while, and Maddie, we talked about this privately last night. People have issues. There's no secret with the AEW women's division, and I think some people are taking a little bit of offense to the lack of camera time that the women are getting. I can see both sides of the coin. I understand in some capacities why we're not getting as much time for some of the women that are underdeveloped, but there are people that can fill in the roles. So, give me more Britt. Give time to get this over, because if not, eventually the wind's going to come out of her sails. So I think if they were to do this for 4 more weeks like they're doing it now, we're going to see Britt's level drop. So hopefully she's back in the ring soon. I think it's supposed to be September 5th that she's back for this handicap match.
Yeah, I'm interested to see, hopefully, that they can give Britt Baker more time once she's maybe, able-bodied. Maybe that's, they don't want to push her too much, Then there could be, I know there's not a lot of people there.
They wouldn't have her in the main promoted angle in the women's division. Tell me one other angle other than the one.
Well, I mean, like physically, they don't want to rush her back, right? Hopefully,
they
want to,
physically.
So hopefully she's physically good to go in this handicap match, and having Penelope there will help kind of maybe hide maybe some things if she's not fully ready to get back to her normal self, if you will.
She also said join our team, so that gave me the impression that it might be 3-on-1, which means that Britt might not do anything, which also might mean that Britt is not able to do anything yet.
Right, that's a good point. Well, another in-ring promo segment now. It's in the ring, but another segment. We have Orange Cassidy and the Best Friends. They come out, and they're setting up for an interview with Orange Cassidy, that is. Now, before Tony can even begin, though, Chris Jericho comes out, interrupts him right away. So, Tony asks him a question, and then just Jericho's music hits, so Orange Cassidy doesn't even get an opportunity to respond. Chris Jericho comes out, interrupts him right away, says that he's only been pinned in AEW 3 times, and one of them is now by the guy who puts his hands in his pockets. And while he is angry, he is very proud of him for learning. The way he sees it, if Cassidy won and Jericho won one, so that means they need to have their rubber match. So the way he sees it, OC is all about orange juice, and Jericho is all about the bubbly. So he produces what's called a Mimosa Mayhem match. Again, I'm going to repeat that, ladies and gentlemen. It's called a Mimosa Mayhem match. Never been seen Silvio, I'm going to share my audio with you here, and I'm going to actually go ahead and play it. Okay. Let me see here. If I can see this here, or did it?
Matt's about to get us kicked off of YouTube, by the way, viewers listening in. Blame Matt.
No, you know what? I'll have to go back to it later because unfortunately, like it refreshed as soon as I went to this page. So now it's not showing me. So we'll come back to that. A Mimosa Mayhem match. Essentially, it's going to be like a 10 or 80,000 gallon tank filled with orange juice and champagne. And the winner, the only way you can win, Silvio, is if you get thrown into it or pinfall, or submission, or I guess not can get count out. I don't know, or get orange juice mimosa out. And in doing so and setting up all this as well, he comes down to the ring. He says he wants to have a toast with them, and then the Inner Circle show up. They all surround Orange Cassidy and the best friends. Tony Schiavone's in the ring, and I just love this part. Is like he's trying to get out, but Jericho's like, no, don't go anywhere. Schiavone, say, have a drink, right? And as soon as the attack starts, you just hear JR, get out of there, Tony! God damn it, get out of there! So Tony escapes, and Inner Circle comes into the match, and they beat down Orange Cassidy, and kind of maybe a parody or full circle of the orange juice being sprayed onto him. He dunks tons and tons of champagne on him, or I guess they champagne boarded him by pouring tons of champagne over his face and his eyes. And ladies and gentlemen, you can fake wrestling, but you can't fake somebody pouring liquid over your eyes. So good, big, shout out to him. Hopefully he got his eyes closed for most of that, because that shit does actually burn for real. But yeah, it was gets the Inner Circle over. And, Orange Cassidy, it looks like he's got his hands full again here. So it looks like we're going to go to the epic conclusion of the OC versus the Ayatollah of Rock and Roll.
Did you notice that Uncle Tony, when he got out of the ring, was wearing sneakers or Skechers? That popped the hell out of me. I saw him sauntering up back to the stage. I think it was after this segment, and he's got a suit. They're shooting him, obviously not shooting his feet on camera. Well, Tony's getting up there in years. He needs a little bit more arch support. So I thought it was funny that Tony has Skechers and a suit on. And anybody that knows Tony or listens to his show knows that Schiavone is not known for his fashion sense and seldom buys clothes. So that fits the theme of Uncle Tony completely. I just thought that was a funny note. Jericho came out. Go ahead. I
want to jump in here really quickly. I think I got it here, so let me hit play.
On Saturday, September 5th, Revenge will be served freshly squeezed in the first ever Mimosa Mayhem match.
80
gallons, 100% pure orange juice.
100%.
It's mixed at ringside with 500 cases of a little bit of the bubbly. The only way to win is by pinfall, submission, or being thrown into a tank of straight mimosa.
All right, guys, I don't want to get hit for copyright for going over 30 seconds, but you get the idea. That is the demo god, Chris Jericho, going to be taking on Orange Cassidy in that match. Sorry, go ahead, Silvio, as far as your thoughts now about Jericho.
So I like Jericho just being the GOAT once again. As he's praising Orange Cassidy, he, being the great heel he is, brings it back to himself. So even though he lost, it was because he's so great that Orange Cassidy learned so much from wrestling him that the only reason he won was because of his experience with Chris Jericho. That's perfect heel 101. I loved how he did that. And Jericho's hair was on the money, as you can see on this video stream right now. Comes out to do the toast. They waterboard the motherfucker with champagne. Mimosa Mayhem. When I heard that and watched that clip you just played, I thought that was the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my life for wrestling.
Right.
And it harkens me back to my early career. Richmond Lucha Libre was a promotion myself, James Long of NXT, several of our friends started, and we had a very successful indie promotion. We were GCW and that style before GCW or any of these cats are doing it now. So
Invisible Guys and all those matches now.
Yeah, my Light the Fuse, Silvio fans, Google Richmond Lucha Libre or YouTube it. You'll like what you see. Anyway, we decided for one show early in the run, this might have been our fourth show, our main event was going to be called a Buckets of Blood match. And it was similar rules to Mimosa Mayhem. where you throw them into a tank filled with blood. Well, we're working on a low budget. We're all college kids at Virginia Commonwealth University eating macaroni and cheese and tuna out of a fucking can.
Right.
You know, we don't got a pot to piss in. So we're all smart and everybody has different talents. One of us was a builder. I can't remember which one, but they built a nice little tank. Just imagine a coffin big enough for 3 people. That was about the look of the tank. And it was tall, maybe 3.5 feet tall. So pretty big. We fill it with this blood. I don't know if it was stage blood or water with food coloring, whatever it was. And this was for the main event of the night. Whoever built it didn't seal it right. So slowly the blood from the buckets of blood starts seeping out. And we used to work in a big concert venue in Richmond. That was like where the hit bands played, like the punk acts and the metal acts. And so all of a sudden the audience starts noticing that the ground is slick. A layer of fucking film lay all over the floor. So it's main event time. It's advertised. It's the only thing on the flyer. Come see this buckets of blood match. And when it comes time for the match, there's 6 inches of blood in this fucking tank.
Damn.
Working it. They were not good workers. They were green. You know, we were kids. And it was just it was one of those abominations. It was like the Yeti. And finally, brother gets thrown into the 6 inches of blood, and it was anticlimactic. Thankfully, the rest of the show was all right and saved it. So hopefully that.
Well, hey, at least they were sitting in blood, right? So like they got their, they got their money's worth. Yeah.
Standing room only. They were standing in blood. So we probably ruined some shoes.
Well, hey, that's part of the atmosphere, right? You said buckets of blood.
It ended up being a cup of blood. So let's see. That is a possibility, Matt. I mean, Lightning has been known to strike twice. So we could see that Mimosa Mayhem match go terribly wrong. Don't get the builder that we use.
Well, that sounded like it was a long time ago. So hopefully that guy either improved his carpentry skills, building skills, engineering skills, or he found another career. But there was a backstage segment here, and now this kind of started to get us caught up with what seems to be going on in this, I don't know, new horseman type of stable that's slowly forming. As you got FTR, they're backstage, they're talking about their upcoming gauntlet match on which team will qualify them to take on Kenny Omega and Hangman Page at All Out Tag Team Championships. They say they need to show that they're the best. And, to get them there, they've teamed up with Tully Blanchard. I guess I should mention, Alex Marvez is back there interviewing them initially as they throw it back to him. Hangman Page comes in and, he says, what the hell was that about last week? And he's referring to them attacking Ricky Morton. And Dax gets him a beer and says that it was their business. They had to do what they had to do. But they had nothing but respect for him. And, they commend him for stepping out of the shadow of the Young Bucks at Revolution, winning that match. But if the Young Bucks come to All Out and they beat Page, they will put him right back in the shadow. A little bit of manipulation there, almost. Mm-hmm. And he then they say, well, of course, but if you guys, if we win, then it's going to be us. And we can't wait to go out there. We'd have a great tag team match with you and blah, blah, blah. So kind of keeping your friends close, keeping your enemies closer, right? They all toast, say good luck to each other, and they hope that they can meet each other at All Out. Did you like this? At least the kind of explanation on why Tully, I guess I didn't write it all down here, but they did give an explanation on why Tully was with them. That being they want to be the tag team champions. They want to be the best, so they went with one of the guys who is the best. But did you like this kind of at least explanation and then fallout from it?
I like the back end of the promo. What the fuck was Marvez saying? That was the longest question.
It was. No, dude. And this is the second time in a week. I think I pointed out to you off air last week. I was like, dude, Marvez. No, actually, I said it on the show. I was like, dude, what was up with Alex Marvez and these setup questions? They're like so convoluted.
Stop it.
That's how my explanation was about as convoluted as his setup question. He's on TV.
How about, hey, we're back here with FTR. FTR. How about that title match? That's all you got to do, Marvez. You got a great voice. I like Marvez. Nice guy.
Hey, thanks, Tony. We're back here with FTR. FTR, you've aligned yourself with Tully Blanchard. Tell us more, right? Something simple. And then
There
they
you
could have
go.
gone to that too.
Put that on your
Yeah, I
sizzle
wouldn't
reel, man. That was hot.
Thank you. Well,
There you go. But yeah, the promo, the promo itself, a little odd note. I love him, man. I'm a huge Tully fan. It seemed Tully may have been a little rusty. You know, his wasn't the strongest Tully promo, and he's a phenomenal promo. But I was glad to see him getting to do promos. Unfortunately, the stuff he did with Spears was a lot limited. We didn't really see him doing too much with Spears. So I'm glad FTR used him in the match for the heat spot. They let him talk. He's got a jacket. You know, it's fitting to. He fits much more well with FTR than he does with Spears. I hope they all come together in this horseman-like group we're talking about with Paige. But I have a feeling we might get a little swerve-ski with that. But the back end was pretty good. Once what's he call himself now? The one that used to be Dawson. Is he Harwood?
Yes, I think so.
Harwood saved the promo. He had some better delivery, so it wasn't bad in the back. And then we saw the manipulation with Hangman Page. So it's interesting. I hope that they work out. But I'll throw a prediction out there. I could potentially see them doing the Horseman Sting angle with Hangman Page and AEW using this as an opportunity to skyrocket Page. To any viewer that might not be familiar with that, they actually got Sting twice, so he looked dumb on the second time. They invited Sting to join the Horsemen, and he accepted, and a big celebration in the ring, and then they just jumped him. And it led to a hot push and feud with Sting that led to a world championship. So maybe we'll get that with Page.
That would be a good way for Hangman to really kind of break off and do his own solo thing if they were going to run that route. And they could bring in this other fourth guy, which I think is going to happen, but we'll get I think that's probably toward the later end of this review, who I think that we're going to get as the fourth guy for this Horseman.
It's all yours, Tony Khan. Run with it, brother.
Yeah, entourage. So, of course, guys, if you're watching here on the YouTube, we are, of course, on Hamin Media Group. You can see right there, Hamin Media Group. This show is on Hacker Hamin, but our second affiliate channel here, HaminMediaGroup.podbean.com, as well as just Hamin Media Group everywhere, guys. Please go there, like, share, subscribe on any of your favorite platforms, and, of course, follow us on YouTube. If you are watching this here, I thank you. If you're listening to the podcast, can you just open up your YouTube really quick and just hit subscribe and then like, and then if you want, turn off notifications. I don't care. As long as you're listening to the show either way, just do something. And then maybe watch it on YouTube. You can throw it on the background while you're sleeping. Put it on mute. I don't know. Help us out, guys. Go to HaminMediaGroup.podbean.com, Hamin Media Group everywhere. Darby Allin was up next. I was a little nope.
Didn't have Allin next. I thought we had the Reynolds Dark Order guys against Nick, Matt, and Kenny Omega. Am I wrong?
Oh,
one of us took
I thought it was Darby Allin versus Will Hobbs was next, but maybe you're right. Maybe it was. Yeah, I guess I didn't write that down. So that was but Young Bucks taking on Dark Order, correct? It's a 6-man elite.
Young Bucks and Kenny Omega.
Right, the elite.
Silver, Reynolds, and Angels that were being called 3, 4, and 5.
5, yeah.
The newly contracted Silver and Reynolds, by the way.
Oh, like full time? You think so?
Yes, they got contracts now.
Well, I mean, they've been on what was it? They've been on BTE, being the elite, for the last 2-3 months, if you will. They've been the hottest thing on being elite, to be honest.
That's how they got it. And that Jericho Saturday Night Special I referenced earlier, he mentioned that due to their performance on BTE and their attitudes and what, I guess their eagerness they've shown the company, that Jericho confirmed that they have earned themselves contracts. And he did say an interesting note that Jericho says AEW's plan is to use everybody who's in the company. Now, this could just be speaking as a company man, but according to Jericho, they plan on using everyone. They don't want job guys. They don't want guys who are nobody. They want everybody at some point in time to be a part of the show. So we'll see if that stays true to form.
So yeah, you're right. Correct. I apologize, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know why I skipped over my notes here. Dark Order 3, 4, and 5 versus the Elite. Young Bucks, Kenny Omega. This was definitely another kind of dissension between the group here of Kenny Omega too and Hangman, right? Because you got Kenny Omega still kind of going out there and pairing up with the Elite. and he's taking on Dark Order, and Hangman's really not really anything a part of this. But the match starts out with one of the numbers. They immediately head to the ramp. Nick escapes a head scissors, and then they get a springboard arm drag back of the ring. Get a blind tag into Matt, and he gets an arm drag of his own. Double drop kick sends to the floor. One of the Dark Order members to the floor. They go back and forth. There was a triple northern, or Matt tried, that triple northern light suplex, but 1/3 of them got stopped. And then the Elite triple teamed with a leg drop from an Omega, finishing the sequence itself. Dark Order number 5 was in the ring with Omega. As then things settled down a bit, Kenny got shoved off the top. This was a good match. I mean, I liked Young Bucks matches in Elite. I don't have any more notes as far as moves, but the end of the match, the Indie Taker and the One Wing Angel is what they used, right? They win at like 12, 13 minutes. The winners of this match were the Elite.
All right. This one.
Did you think this had any flow, or was this just a bunch of setups and moves?
No. This one is going to be part Silvio and part of the missing Hamin. So
here we go.
Silvio. Great opening spot. The one you were referencing was Angels, who had a really cool opening with Nick where they were doing the springboards on the outside. Nick Jackson is a fucking animal. You remember I was speaking last week about how I think Matt should have an angle at some point where he gets a main event singles push. I still think that should happen, but my God, is Nick Jackson good. He is so smooth on everything. He was an animal. He hit that awesome spot where he does the run up the ropes and does this weird corkscrew dive to the floor. Just everything that cat does is smooth and flawless. So I wanted to shout him out on that. I like the effort of the Dark Order guys. They were stepping it up. They were trying. As a wrestler, I could tell how hard they were working, and I applaud them for that. But here's where I got to put my foot down. At one point in the match, we see Matt Jackson on the floor, and one of the guys has him up in a suplex position while Silver, I believe, is the taller of the tag team, the one with the long hair, and the biggest one, does a suicide dive. Wasn't the world's greatest, but the move was a combo, a suicide dive brainbuster that looked so goddamn dangerous and could have ended Matt Jackson's career. What it was supposed to be is like the old Rockers move, where one of them would have him up in a vertical suplex, the other one would jump off the top and crossbody. The timing was good and it was safe. Silver and Reynolds ain't no Sean and Marty. I got news for you. They might be one day. I got nothing against them, but they're new. They're getting their feet wet. Why Matt Jackson? I think Matt was a lot of the reason why they got the contract. They probably liked him with the BTE stuff. Maybe they're behind the scenes. Who knows? But I would not, as a performer, especially with as much as they have on the line, never in a million years would I have taken that spot. And then we get to a where the Bucks go for moonsaults and Matt Jackson picks someone up for the Indie Taker. They do the cool tombstone reversal, and one of the Dark Orders had a tombstone locked on Matt Jackson. Nick moonsaults and gets caught by another one of the Dark Order. So they then proceed to do a tombstone onto Nick, which was a little suspect. And again, I don't know if I would have been aching to take it from the new guys. And then they did a tombstone on Matt Jackson onto Nick Jackson. Why am I screaming about this? Why am I upset? Because
that's not safe.
If you are just a fan or really don't know that much about the working part of pro wrestling, that is nearly as dangerous as it gets. I would rather take a power bomb off the top rope from Killer Cross, which would hurt a lot more, than risk my head and neck by Silver tombstoning me onto another man. There's a reason why that spot's never been done before, Young Bucks. You guys are awesome. Don't hurt.
Silvio, you just went out. You got so angry, I think you knocked something out. Hello?
Are we back?
Yeah, we're back.
Yeah, I pounded my desk so damn hard on that. Come on, boys.
Knocked it off.
Don't be so given, Young Bucks. I know they're doing the right thing. They're trying to get the new guys over, and I love doing that. Anytime a new guy was around in the company I was in, I was all for getting them over. And if I had to lose to them to get them over, great. But come on, boys, don't get hurt. And then we had Omega taking a crazy heat from these three guys, the complete opposite of what I said about the Revival and Private Party, how the Revival should steamroll through Private Party because they are an upper tier, larger tag team, and the Private Party is a smaller stature, lower card tag team. But Kenny is always doing that. And Omega's a great worker. I'm not talking shit on you, Kenny. You're fucking awesome. I love your work. But Omega's selling all over the place for these guys. I think sometimes the EVPs, we've been talking about it since the show started, they're a little bit too giving under the wrong circumstances. I don't think those three guys were the ones to be that giving to. Just switch the teams up. Maybe give them Lucha Express or what is Jurassic Express or something like that. Give them another team that's not as high up on the card and not as important. So yeah, Omega's selling all over, but then he made his own comeback on all of them, and we got a good finish with that assisted. It was pretty cool. Assisted Indie Taker where one of them jumped and Omega threw him over top of him to land into the Indie Taker. So cool little finish. Then we get that business. So Matt, this is interesting. The second time that we've seen Omega attack a babyface post-match. First, it was Marco Stunt a few weeks ago. This time he grabs a chair and tries to set it up the wrong way. So onto the legs, which looks like it would have hurt. He went to power bomb Alan Angels on it after he slapped him in the face. Jackson's pulled him out of the way, said, come on, brother, cool it down. He power bombs him anyway, not on the chair. Goes to grab the chair again. We get a good beauty shot on Omega, who has a look of heel on his face. So, we might see a beautiful angle coming. We've been saying for weeks, like, okay, who's flipping? Is it Paige or is it Omega? And for a while, it's looking like Paige. Now we don't know. Is it both of them? So I guess kudos to them for that.
Yeah,
before we continue, what do you think of the Dangerous stuff?
I mean, it doesn't really have its place. Like, I mean, like for me to say, like, obviously I'm not in that position, so I don't know what the pain that would feel like. It didn't like necessarily even like look kind of cool. Like it just looked weird, like visually. It was just like, what is he doing? He's doing tombstone on him? Like that doesn't make sense.
Did you see the chair stuff too after the heat spot?
After the match, you're saying?
No, I'm sorry, man. I gotta point this out.
Okay.
I'm channeling Hamin. He's doing a Vince McMahon on my earpiece.
Okay.
So for the heat spot, which I liked, they did a distraction and Omega got hit in the balls behind the ref's back. I said, cool, nice. They're doing an old school kind of cutoff. Omega goes to the floor. Then Reynolds, I believe it was, grabs a steel chair and hits him. And it makes a loud metal sound that sounds like a chair shot while the referee is in the ring not looking at it. And the referee's back wasn't turned. The referee was looking, he was facing that direction, but his head was to the left. I don't remember what he was looking at. I think one of the heels. Then they put a chair on Kenny Omega's chest for Alan Angels to run off the apron and double stomp it. And the referee at that point was holding the Jacksons back for some reason, who didn't look like they were interfering. So this poor referee hears two loud metal crashes in a match, which is illegal.
Oh, right, where it sits on his chest. Okay, you're correct.
And doesn't think to turn around and say, what was that big boom? Matt, if you heard just a loud crash behind you, what would your natural instinct be?
I would look.
You'd look behind you.
Right.
So, I don't know. Just some of the things they did, nothing but respect for the Bucks and Omega. They're great workers, great performers. But just some of the things in this match, I wasn't happy about.
Well, after the match, as you mentioned, Omega snapped, right? Hits a powerbomb, one of the members of the Bucks. He was trying to hit a powerbomb on one of the Dark Order members onto a chair, but the Bucks stopped him from using the chair. They have, on the last episode of BT, they did kind of hint another Kenny Omega cleaner. Like, Kenny Omega has actually been, like, absent from the last couple episodes of BTE. So he hasn't even been on the show. And whenever they've talked about him or where's Kenny, they've been, like, doing small little hints, if you will. So he could, there could be that possibility, that he is going to be turning. And as you mentioned, it's nice that AEW is keeping kind of everybody in the dark. Like, who's going to really turn heel, right? The writing's not on the wall right now. Yeah.
Was Omega ever a heel? I never watched his work until he came to North America. Was he a heel? I saw a few of his matches, like the Okada ones. But was he ever a heel?
He worked as a heel for the most part, I would say. For the good majority of him being the leader of the Bullet Club, that was their kind of their shtick. They just did whatever they want and they beat up whoever they want. But then he would go out and have these 50 to 60-minute matches, right? So he could back up the actions of what he, being a badass. From my recollection, he worked a long time as a heel in New Japan. In fact, I was talking with Jargo, who hosts the Destino podcast, and he was saying to me last night, he was like, man, I don't like Kenny Omega in AEW. I don't like babyface Kenny Omega. I like, heel Kenny Omega. He's got a lot more personality because he can be kind of just, a little bit of a dick versus trying to pander, right? So he liked that variation.
He's doing great. So I'd be interested to see him as a heel. Omega's one of my favorite performers on the show. So the cleaner was a cool ass gimmick too, man. I'd love to see him bring it back.
Well, so I apologize. As I mentioned earlier, I skipped over the Young Bucks match and All Elite match. This is where we would have had the backstage segment with Tully and FTR, which we just talked about. So now we will go in to Darby Allin versus Will Hobbs. It was a 2-minute and 50-second match. Okay, so I'm not saying it was a long match, but did Hobbs get way too much offense on Darby Allin?
He did not.
He did not?
He did not. And
you didn't think he did? I thought he got way too much in, and I thought he dominated Darby Allin too much.
We got a run-in coming on here in this match in a moment, and then I'm going to tell you all about why. Okay, so Matt, stand those two. Okay, you're in a bar. You following?
Yep.
And you see Darby Allin mouthing off to Will Hobbs.
Okay.
Who's getting their ass kicked?
Well, yeah, it would be Darby Allin. He's getting his ass kicked. But I mean, from the, standpoint of the build in which they're trying to sell Darby Allin, would it have made more sense to give him all of that time when they're not probably going to reuse Mike Hobbs?
Room for all of this.
So, all right, those watching on video, we got a run in here from the beautiful Jenna Van Muscles, who liked this match that we're about to discuss. So she's going to join us and share a little commentary on it. To answer your question, so Matt was asking me if I thought Hobbs got too much offense because Darby is a bigger star and Hobbs is larger.
You want to know what I think?
I would like to know what you think, yes.
Can you hear me?
Here.
I've never done this whole thing
You know my headset.
Hey, welcome to Light the Fuse podcast.
Right, let's light it up.
It's like the fuse.
So what was your thoughts on the match? What did you think?
No, I obviously they're pushing Darby, so I thought the new guy, considering no one really knows him, he had a couple dark matches, but no one really knows him yet. So I thought he got a lot in for someone that nobody knows. Yes, there's a size difference, but they're also pushing Darby to be a top guy, and he's had main event matches. So I thought it was a little bit too much offense for someone that's new. Great for someone like me coming in and that's big and know that I could get something like that in, but that's just what I think.
I loved it. I thought it was perfect because, again, like I told you,
I was
comparison in a bar fight, we had that awesome spot where Hobbs picked him up by the pants and threw him into like a pancake thing.
Yeah, he picked him up by the skinny jeans and whooped that ass sky high and pancaked him. It was great. I might steal it.
Yeah, so that match is exactly what, in my opinion, is what it needed to be. It was believable because if Darby would have, the only way that match could have went different is if it was quick. Like something happened where Darby ambushed him, dropped him, and coffin dropped. Because otherwise, if they're toe-to-toe, you got to give them something.
Yeah, at least
so I guess
started out with a hot start. You know, he came into the ring and gave him a nice big missile drop kick out, and then did a suicide
and
dive.
Dove onto his head.
Yeah, he dove on his head, but he's used to that. Has a death wish, but that's another story.
I guess my question to Silvio would be: would then he put the ending the segment the segment itself that followed, it really made Darby Allin just look like a poor little guy. You know what I mean? Like it was questionable to put Darby Allin in a situation where he gave all Mike Hobbs this time to get all these offense in, barely gets a victory, and then Brian Cage and Ricky Starks then come out and beat him down even more. So to me, it just Darby Allin didn't come off strong at all in all this. But if that's what they're trying to do, that's the argument can be made for that, from the storyline perspective as well.
Well, Darby should just when he's talking, so I can hear. Darby should not look strong, because Darby is the smallest, other than Marco. He's the smallest baby on the roster. So Darby should always fight from underneath like he does. Notice the way his match was structured with Moxley. He had this main event match, but he won't dominate in John. Moxley whooped that ass, and Darby had a scratch and claw. So that style is working fine. The reason why they did it that way, Matt, is to get a baby face over and to get him to a moment, you got to put heat on him. So here comes the heat. You got, in any movie, there becomes an act 2 of the movie where the baby face is in peril and they have to overcome odds. So I thought it made sense, because it now gave him a huge mountain to climb. Not only does he have to get through Ricky Starks, who did a hell of a promo, shout out Ricky Starks, but he might have to even go through Brian Cage, who knocked his ass out with the belt. You see where I'm going?
Yeah, I definitely understand. I just would have, if Darby Allin's their quote unquote future Sting character, I just would have liked to have seen maybe get a more a viable victory in from a storyline standpoint over the unknown Mike Hobbs. Like it would, I don't know, it would have sat well better with me. I didn't mind the post stuff. I liked the Ricky Starks promo. I liked Brian Cage and him coming out and then beating the crap out of Darby. I liked it all. I liked that part. But I didn't want to see Darby weak in the match that led into that beatdown. That's all.
Outside of being at Darby, from a match standpoint, they played the perfect big versus little psychology.
For sure.
Structurally of the match, because that's all I know is because every person in the ring with me is smaller. I get that psychology, and they told that story quite well. But again, the question of him being pushed as a top guy and then not getting a lot in and giving him all that offense for unknown. That's where it comes down to.
Also, everyone in the house is smaller, as we have a Chihuahua and myself.
Oh, whoa. Goodness gracious. Well, I guess we can move on then. After that, Taz gets on the mic and he says something to Darby. He says he's got a new member of Team Taz, and he introduces the parallel version of Darby Allin. We've got Ricky Allin, or Darby Starks. I don't know, everybody. What do you want to call him? But he was fun. Like, I liked all this, and it looked like he was popping Darby in the ring. He was kind of doing a parody version of him, saying life is a joke and Darby is the biggest joke of all. And, he just basically goes on a very depressive style
Life's
of promo.
Joke, nothing
to live for, blah, 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 very emo-ish, if you will. And like I said, it looked like Darby got a kick out of it in the ring. However, he did not get a kick out of it when Cage and him beat him down. And then he did his own version of the coffin drop from the middle rope. Taz saying he's so badass, he could do it from the middle rope. Made me laugh, though. And that was the end of that segment. So did you like this follow-up, Miss Van Muscles?
No, the follow-up with him coming out, I thought he nailed the impression pretty well, mocking him. So I enjoyed it. I mean, it popped me, and I could tell from Darby in the ring, trying to stay in character, it was pretty fun. So I thought he nailed it. Yeah, and Brian Cage is too big. He doesn't need a belt, in my opinion. He should just use his big club of his arm, but that's just me.
That's a very good point. But no, I got
his arms are bigger than the belt.
They're probably harder. You know what I mean? He doesn't need a belt or need to cheat with Darby. If he's that small, and Will Hobbs just, got all that in, and then Brian Cage, his size, needs to use a belt, not something I would think to use.
That's a good
I'm going to make a bold statement too, Matt. I think they should hire Will Hobbs.
Oh, I think they should hire the guy, definitely. After this match, I was like, man, who's this guy? Another big guy. He looked good.
No, he had a good look. He was a big, strong dude, at least 240, 6'2", maybe. No, I thought he looked good and something different.
Well, in comparison to the 5'8" to 5'10" AEW wrestlers, he looks like a giant. So,
Yeah.
My dad's 6'2", so I don't know. I'm only 5'10", so I guess everybody's taller than me. After that, though, we got Sammy Guevara in picture-in-picture. Now, for me, Silvio, I didn't get this picture-in-picture. Did you get it?
The whole thing was in picture-in-picture for me, which I think is odd. Might have been because of the NBA delay.
It was all in picture-in-picture.
I didn't get anything. It went to commercial for me, and it came back with Matt Hardy beating him down. That's
Sammy
all I
did
got.
The cards. Matt came out with the chair, blasted him, and then it came back on air with what you saw, and I guess you'll explain.
Interesting. So yeah, I guess Matt Hardy, I guess there were some signs, whatever he said. Then Matt Hardy comes out and he starts beating him up, and that's how we come out of the picture-in-picture is we just see Matt Hardy like standing over Sammy Guevara, and then eventually he goes off even a little bit more, and he's swearing him out with the chair, puts him through a table nearby, and then he preps to throw a chair at his head, but the refs are out to stop that, and then Sammy gets helped to the back by the doctors, and Matt says this ends when he says it ends. I thought this was fantastic, just vintage, to use Michael Cole's line there, vintage Matt Hardy. It was just classic, great Matt Hardy. And I like that he is, he's still being his aggressive, unhinged side, but he's not fully into that broken Damascus character that he was initially doing. He's kind of, almost got like the faces of Hardy now with all these different characters he kind of plays.
Did you get to see the table bump?
Yeah, I saw the table bump through the table.
Crazy. Yes.
Yeah.
Guevara took a hell of a bump off the ramp through the table. It was legit too.
Well, hey, after Hardy got cut open, right? I mean, the hard way.
That was a rough one he took right to the face.
So I'm sure Sammy was like, all right, I'll do it, Matt. Don't worry. Don't you worry.
Welcome Monroe the dog to the Light the Fuse cast.
Hello, dog.
She's replaced Boz as the official pet.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, Hamin. You snooze, you lose.
Wow, your dog's off this. We're gonna have a podcast. I was gonna say dog fight, but that might get us in trouble. We're gonna have a podcast dog mascot off. There we go.
There you go. She's a luchador.
Hey, you want to sit in with us on the Women's Cup match? I think we got that up next.
Sure.
Yeah, all right, that'll be great actually here, because I said this offline in the chat. This was my only criticism is they haven't shown any of this all on TV. But before we got there, Mr. Silvio, one thing I want to go over now is Tony throws it back to the NWA Women's Champion Thunder Rosa. We see a close-up of her title. She says that she has come here to actually put the women's division on the map, that she's going to be at All Out, and she's here for the AEW Women's Championship. Now, the fan in me, of course, I've been following Thunder Rosa since she's been on the Indies, so I'm a big fan of Thunder Rosa. The ranking side of me going, wait a minute, she just gets to walk in here and get a title shot? I mean, what am I supposed to believe here? Do rankings not matter, Silvio?
It's the women's division, man. It's had its ups and downs. For me, I was just excited to see them acknowledge the NWA. When I heard that, my ears perked up like Monroe's when I go, Monroe. So your little ears perk up. Yep. So I thought that was really cool. And Thunder Rosa's a badass chick and a cool worker. So I was excited about it. But you're 100% correct. I don't know why she got the shot, but I'm excited to see it.
And it was nice that they acknowledged NWA and that she's their champ. So maybe because she is the NWA women's champ, that gave her the cred, right? The cred, to come in, because she does have a name and she has been places. And so I was excited to see her face. Then again, I am wrestling for her in her promotion next month. So
little plug there. When's that coming
at Mission Pro in Buda, Texas.
What's the date?
September 18th.
There you go.
So if she's sticking around full time, I think that I'm okay with them doing some sort of match. Like, I think I would have rather have just seen, like, I don't know. You don't have to do title for title, but you can just put champion versus champion, right? I mean, you can build it up that way. But if she's going to go after the title, then I guess you have to assume that maybe she's going to be there more long term, or this could just be a one-off. Who knows what they're going to do with the NWA right now? I know that Mr. Marquez and Championship Wrestling, his own digital United National Networks production company. I think they're running NWA right now. They're filming. They're going to start doing weekly pay-per-views here. So, I mean, NWA is still being utilized in that facet. And NWA is always going to end up being utilized no matter what. Even if Billy Corgan, doesn't utilize it or sell it, NWA is going to continue for years to come just because it's the name alone. It's the NWA. And even if WWE gets it, then it'll be, put in a vault somewhere or on the network, and you can watch all of it. You can relive everything. But I'm going on a diatribe here, Silvio. Did you have any more final thoughts on Thunder Rosa before we get into the match?
Real quick, we might see a kind of cross-pollination, and I'm kind of hoping we do, just because the more attention we can get on NWA, it's just another brand of wrestling. I want every brand to be talked about so more people have places to work. So I hope this leads to guys coming back and forth. I mean, we do have Ricky Starks now, who was NWA, and maybe they'll do a series. Maybe they'll bring Sheeta over there for one of their pay-per-views to pop a number. But in old school, man, they used to do champion all the time.
Right.
Vince Sr. would bring in, Harley Race, and you'd have matches like Harley Race, the NWA champ, against AWA champ Nick Bockwinkel. You'd have Bruno against Harley, shit like that. There would never be a decisive winner, obviously, because nobody wanted to bury the other one. In this case, Sheeta's got to get the win, though, just because it's 2020 and shit don't work like that anymore.
This will be interesting. We haven't had, this is our first actual female on the Light the Fuse podcast, and more or less a very well-trained wrestler yourself. So are you a fan of what they have done as a whole in the AEW heavyweight division? Because I know we'll get into the tag stuff here, because I'm sure you've been following that more. But as far as the AEW women's division itself, the heavyweight division, have you been thrilled with how they've demonstrated or showcased the division as a whole?
I think they're trying right now with all the women and trying to build it. And I think this tag team cup and bringing it in and having something they're trying some new things to try to build it and bring in some new talent. So I think there's work to be done, but they're bringing in new faces and putting the effort in. And I know they have trainers there, and they're really working with all the ladies, and they're bringing in some vets that have been in the business for a while. So no, I'm excited to see what's coming. I think there's still work to be done, though.
And by the way, I just want to make this clear for the listeners. I wasn't necessarily asking for me. That was for you. So just shut up. Just let them wrestle. That was more that kind of question. Just let the fucking women wrestle. Anyway, so the AEW Women's Tag Team Tournament final is up next with Eva Lise and Diamante versus the Nightmare Sisters, Brandy Rhodes and Allie, being accompanied by Dustin Rhodes and QT Marshall. Now, my only complaint, as I was going to say before we get into this review, is I didn't like the fact that they didn't give us a lot of this on the show. You could have given me one of the matches here. You could have given me highlights every week on AEW Dynamite. Here's what's happening in the women's tag division. But all they really did was either throw up a graphic about the brackets, or it would roll across the bottom as far as a crawl, results. So because of that, I was not emotionally invested in the match. Was it a good match? I didn't hate on it. I thought the women worked well with each other. I thought that Brandy Rhodes, I like the chemistry between Brandy and Allie, as they're obviously don't really want to be with each other, but they're with each other by proxy, right? And then ultimately, I like the conclusion here that that there's not going to be any criticism from the fans that Brandy goes over. But Eva Lise and Diamante win. They gave the women 10 minutes here. We'll go to you, Ms. Van Muscles. What are your thoughts on this match?
Right away. Well, obviously, Evie's a good friend of mine, so I'm happy to see her a part of the AEW family. So a little favoritism there, because I know how she is in the ring, and I know the effort she's put in over the years. So it was really great to see her in action, and I know how hard she's worked for this shot. So a little favoritism there. But the surprise for me was watching Brandy work. I haven't seen her in the ring in a while, and she was moving good, and she was getting some hot moves in. So she was the surprise for me watching. Her stuff looked crisp, and she was moving well and where she should be in a tag match. So the psychology, in and out for her, I thought her stuff looked good. So that was the surprise watching the tag match for me.
Silvio, do you have your thoughts, sir?
Yeah. I agree with you, Matt, on them not doing anything on Dynamite. It's like how I always complain about BTE, all these angles that happen on BTE that I don't know about unless I take the time to watch it. I think they were trying to do something similar. They're trying to introduce a new show on YouTube to see how it does. And maybe their minds were, okay, well, if this goes well, maybe we'll start doing an all-women show on YouTube. That's where my brain goes to their creation. So it wasn't that hot of a match because there wasn't any heat. I found it. Here's the odd things about it. I agree with Jenna's points, and there were some good details in there. The odd points about it were how they had Ivelisse and Diamante have that blood feud match a few weeks ago where they beat the living shit out of each other, and now they were a team. So that was a little funky, but pleasantly surprised with Brandy Rhodes. I was almost as surprised with Brandy as I was Pat McAfee. She was doing a good job. The only parts Brandy was lacking, much like Pat, was the transitions. And what I mean by that is like how you're going to move in between the move and put your body in position for the other person to hit you. And as we said earlier, that only comes with experience. So if Brandy keeps doing what she's doing, she'll be good. She's clearly training with Cody and QT. Brandy, and I've said a lot of good things about Cherry Bomb, Allie, but if I were Allie after this match, and I know Jenna might disagree, she enjoyed the match more than I did, but if I were Allie after this match, I would have made myself do 500 squats. I would get back in the damn training school because she got shown up. I got news for you. Brandy was in the ring less because Allie was the veteran, but Brandy had a better showing than Allie, and that shouldn't be. A 12-year vet shouldn't be showed up by a girl that's had 20 matches. So congrats to Brandy, but Allie, girl, come on. I've worked on shows with you. You're a good talent, but let's step it up, girl. You got to lead this team.
Silvio, bringing the fire here. Before we get into our final match, we of course want to remind our listeners we are sponsored by StevieRichardsFitness.com. Join the Resistance Band Nation that's sweeping all over the world and sweeping the nation. And you can go to StevieRichardsFitness.com, pick yourself up. $14.99 to start, guys. You get the program, and then you get some resistance bands, and you're ready to go. You're good to go. If you want to get some cheap ones to start, maybe practice before you get some really heavy-duty ones that aren't going to break, I recommend that. Ben likes to say, go balls to the walls and buy the 100-pound resistance bands. I'm like, no, dude, go to Walmart and buy, the ones that don't weigh. Get yourself into shape. Work yourself up, and then make the investment and get the really nice ones. Yeah, exactly. Then you can go to Jenna Van Muscles. So go to StevieRichardsFitness.com.
You want to hear how good Stevie Richards Fitness is? Stevie, a personal friend of mine and all of ours here on HMG. My older brother just moved to Florida. He is a 22-year military veteran. He's been deployed 2 or 3 times in Iraq and Afghanistan. My brother's had back surgery twice. The last one was a month ago. Right after his back surgery, he also tore his bicep. And my brother was big, much like me, into fitness, lifting, running, stuff like that. Stevie is the man, and Stevie is hooking him up and helping him rehabilitate since he can't lift weights now. So he's getting back into shape, getting healthy again, just through using Stevie Richards Fitness. So not only can you use that, and this isn't a commercial, this is me being real with you guys. Not only can you use this just for if you're a regular guy or girl to get in good shape, but you can use this program to rehab injuries. So shout out, Stevie. Thank you so much for helping my brother. I really appreciate it. It means a lot to me. And everybody listening, just for that act of kindness alone, if you want to look a little bit better and, maybe be able to get a looker like this mama over here, get on SRF and get those bands. So shout out to Stevie. Thank you, brother. I appreciate you. So does my brother, Russ.
That's like I said there, if you're watching here on the YouTube version, you'll see that I have it up the 12-week and the 16-week program here from Stevie Richards. So go to StevieRichardsFitness.com. Okay. Also, guys, some of our other sponsors, check out thebrosters.com for Russo Bro coffee. Get your special edition Vince Russo Bro coffee for all the way, flown in from Nicaragua or, and some guy out there, he was like, pulling the beans right off the Colombian trees and shipping them back into New York, where they then take it and they grind it down for you and send it to you in a bag. Or if you don't want to grind down, I'm sure they'll send it to you whole. So go to theroasters.com and get some Russo Bro coffee. And of course, check out the Tech Meme Ride Home podcast. They're sponsoring Hamin, Hacker Hamin, and Hamin Media Group all month long. 15, 20-minute digestible tech industry news, technology, what's going on. Guys like Mark Zuckerberg are listening to this podcast. So if you're just looking for something easy, digestible about technology and what's going on in the crazy world of artificial intelligence and beyond, check out Tech Meme Ride Home podcast.
Nice.
Okay. We got into my favorite match of the night. Like, I'm watching AEW. We're watching AEW 11 months now. This was the best match AEW has ever done, in my opinion. Like, I was so happy. They finally put over a big man, and they made the big man look like strong. Like, he comes out, he dominates. By the way, this is the AEW TNT championship match between Cody versus the Dark Order's Brodie Lee. So Brodie Lee comes out and he dominates Cody. This is only a 4-minute match. Cody basically gets no offense in, and then he finishes him. And I sat up and I'm half asleep. I'm not half asleep, but I'm getting tired. It's the end of the show. And I'm watching this and I'm like, holy hell yeah. Like, I literally jumped up and sat up. I did not expect Brodie Lee to pick up the victory here. So not only did it shock me, I was happy to see Brodie Lee finally be made into the giant, this VKM stature type of figure that he is, finally giving him some credibility here in AEW. He's gotten over on BTE. They finally gave him the strap here on Dynamite. What do you think, Miss Van Muscles? I'll start with you.
All right. Well, Chris already knows what I think about this one. But for someone who's been the champ, who has gone against some amazing, huge guys to get absolutely no offense in, I didn't like it in terms of psychology, in terms of how long he was the champ, how many big guys he's beat up, not to get anything in. I wasn't feeling it too much. I understand he's a big guy, but Cody's been the champ. He's got through bigger guys too. And I wasn't feeling like the 4-minute squash match. I know he's a storyteller and he was telling the story and then the stretcher and all of that good stuff at the end. But in terms of the match, I thought he should have had a little bit more to it. But if they wanted shock value, they got it.
That's a valid point. I mean, that's a fair point, especially considering, like you mentioned, you work with maybe females who aren't as, tall and maybe as, physically fit as you are. So, they definitely might not look as big a stature. So I imagine if you were the champ for a year or, however Cody Long has been the champ now 4 or 5 months and, you got squashed or you squashed the champ itself, it might not be best for business, right? Long term. So I can understand that for sure. Mr. Silvio, what did you think?
I'm a little bit more on the Matt train on this one.
Nice.
I blinked and I missed it. I went and match started. I went and grabbed my phone charger. I came back and he was getting lariated and pinned. And I just went, holy shit, what the fuck just happened? I loved it because I love when people go over strong. I like when they get a guy and they push him. Like a few weeks ago on NXT when Cross destroyed Ciampa, I loved it. That's what you should do. You get a big monster, bring him in, have him beat everyone, and then we go from there. So we did the reverse of that where he came in and unfortunately he lost to Moxley, but now we got Brodie back on track. So I was okay with it. I loved the match remember when Brock beat Cena like that 12-20 minute match, killed him. I thought it was great because it was real and no one sees it coming. Sometimes that's how it is. She and I watched the MMA card last week. Sometimes you get dropped in 60 seconds. Then the heavyweights had a 5-round decision fight, which you never see. So you can't predict a fight. I liked it. I'm on your train with that one, Maddie.
Yeah, to me, it was like, and it goes back to the Brodie Lee thing, the way they brought him in and kind of threw him into that Mox, AEW heavyweight championship match with not really having any screen time on AEW to warrant that emotional want or like connection or even shock value. Like if he had beat Mox back then, we would have been like, okay, another WWE guy comes in and wins the title. So the way I don't think he should have even been in that title match. And I think AEW has kind of done a good job of erasing that memory, or at least trying to like, get that out of your mind. And they've slowly built him back up with the Dark Order stuff. And to me, it's viable. Like, if he doesn't win the championship match last night, then how does he go back to the Dark Order? You know what I mean? So exactly. And so, and even more so, the dominating fashion, which you mentioned, like it even just, he's the leader of the group. He's the VK. Now he can just gloat. He doesn't even have to defend the title. He's not going to defend the title every week, which will be a nice refresh too. We won't have to see the title being defended every week. And I'm a fighting champion. It'll be more like Brodie Lee holding hostage, and somebody's going to have to I guess egg him on enough to finally give him a championship opportunity.
Yep,
but it might not be over. But it might not be over, because based on what happened after this match, Silvio, they beat the hell out of Cody. I mean, people tried to come out and save him. I'll give them credit. Arn got thrown around here. What was it? Did Dustin and QT, did the rest of the Nightmare people came out here? The Dark Order. Right, exactly. Everybody tried to come out and help, but Dark Order just took over here. And then Brandy tries to come out and cover Cody, and Anna Jay, which perfect timing to introduce her. She comes out and chokes out Brandy, and I was like, okay, that was nice. That's why you added Anna Jay, so that way you have the female who can come out and beat up the other females. I like that. So the post-match stuff with then Brodie, he dumps the broken title, the old silver-plated title, all over Cody. So I don't think this is over. I think that we're going to get more Cody and Brodie. I like how that sounds. And I think that somebody mentioned Adam Rivera in our Hamin Media Group discussion. He liked the idea of Cody now having to go through the Dark Order, going through all the numbers to finally getting his championship rematch against Brodie. What do you think about that idea, Miss Van Muscles?
No, I think I hope it's not over. I hope he comes back, and that was the story Cody was envisioning, if he got taken out that quickly, and then all the after show and on the stretcher and the whole drama part of it, now build his way back to get another shot and get his championship back. It would be a nice story, and that's what Cody does best.
Silvio, do you think that they're going to move forward with more Brodie Cody, or do you think they're going to write Cody off for a little bit? Because I'll get to my speculation here. I think he's going to be in the Horsemen. So I think this is a way to write Cody off. You're going to have FTR flip on Hangman. The FTR is going to get the opportunity. This is obviously this gauntlet set up for them to fight Hangman and Kenny Omega. You have FTR beat Hangman and Page. They flip. Then you have Cody and Spears come out. Bam, you got your Horseman right there. And that's who ends up taking on the Elite. And it gets Hangman Page, like you said, the sympathy card, and he stays babyface. That's what I think. That's what I think could personally happen. And that would be cool to write Cody off. But Adam Rivera mentioned he thought it'd be cool to have him build back up through, you have to go back to the Dark Order to get your shot at Brodie, which would be a cool storyline too, actually. I like that idea as well.
I'm down with your angle more. So there's a lot to unpack here. Couple details we missed when we were just doing the review. One, we got that awesome Romeo and Juliet beauty spot at the end of the match of an unconscious Cody and Brandy hand in hand as they were selling.
Right.
That's small Cody Rhodes details that makes Cody a fucking genius. And I love his storytelling. Cody Rhodes is the best storyteller in pro wrestling right now. I really like the angle. We talked about the match. They were carting him out. And when he was in the stretcher, Cody was doing such a good job selling that I got emotionally invested. I know the whole thing's a work, and I know he was fine, but I was concerned for him for a minute. And I know the viewers were too. And Cody sold it to perfection. When they had the EMTs, trying to communicate, can you hear us? And he's opening his eyes and he gives the thumbs up. Great. Then when we see Brodie come out and throw the thing over, we heard somebody gasp. That's the reaction you want. As a heel wrestler, when I do something nefarious, that gasp is what I live for. We heard somebody shriek when they dumped the thing over because poor Cody's hurt. We love Cody. And then the other guys didn't come out. So after that, they jump Arn. Arn tries to back him off.
Poor Arn.
And Arn fires a few shots off. And then Arn gets dropped, and some mysterious Dark Order guys dragged a beaten up Dustin and QT out. So they didn't come out for the save. It looks like they'd been jumped and this was all a plan. The only thing I didn't like about this, and I'm not quite sure why Cody did this because I think Cody's genius. He got back to his feet to take that shot with the bag that we later found
the
out
broken
had
belt.
the belt. He was in the stretcher. He was doing such a good job. He was in peril. Then he got knocked off the stretcher. For me, when he stood up, it took me out of it a little bit, and I didn't get back into it until we had him and Brandy hand in hand. It would have been the perfect angle had we had Cody not stand up. Brilliant stuff by Cody, but it seemed like he wasn't hurt that bad anymore because he was able to stand up.
Maybe on a knee or like a staggered and trying to get up, but done it.
Or Dark Order picks him up.
Okay.
Dark Order picks him up, bang, you still get everething in.
Or, he tries to get off and falls, right? Falls flat, and then something like that too. And then Dark Order picks him up, and then they're holding him, and then he smashes the bag over his head, and that would have kept you maybe more in the scene, you're saying? But
here's my theory, since we're doing this booking. I don't know if you remember, might have been a couple months back. You know how much of a Cody Rhodes fan I am. I've always said he is AEW. He's that baby face. I was pissed he did the angle with Jericho so he can never be champ because he's the heart of the company. And how do you get Cody back over? The old wrestling psychology. How can they miss you if you don't go away? So I said it a long time ago on this show. Cody needs to get hurt. Cody needs to be out and be off TV for a while. And when everyone's forgotten about Cody, at the right moment, he comes in hot and starts whooping some ass, does a run-in, bop, 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 like Matt Hardy during the Edge thing when Matt came out of the crowd and whooped him for sleeping with his girlfriend, and it was real, true heat. That's what I want to see with Cody. So that's where I think they are going. So give Cody some time off TV, have him come out, and then, Matt, maybe we can combine all of these worlds, where he does go through the Dark Order. But I think that's how we're going to get Cody to the next level as a babyface.
But I would like to see him do the Horseman thing with FTR and Spears. That'd be cool too.
I agree.
That'd be pretty sweet. Well, that's it, guys. That's another edition of Light the Fuse, AEW Dynamite Saturday Night Review. Silvio, final thoughts at all before we get out of here? We do all the plugs.
Did you like that detail?
Yeah, that was her bow out. Overall,
final thoughts. Yeah.
Final thoughts. It was a very busy show. And I don't necessarily mean that in a negative way. There are a couple things on the show that I've expressed here that I would have liked to see go a little bit different. But it went quick, and I like that. It wasn't a plodding show. Like a lot of people will complain about watching the 3-hour Raw, that some segments drag, and it's a task to watch it. I'm not saying I feel that way, but, people say it. This was a quick-moving show. So overall thoughts on it? Based on the finish and the opening, between shitty and great, I would give it a pretty damn good.
All right. Well, I mean, Miss Muscles, did you enjoy this AEW Dynamite? Was it up to par, good wrestling show for you?
Yes, I did. I'm such a mark sometimes, and I love wrestling so much that anytime that I get to take time out of my day from my normal corporate life and indulge in my wrestling, and I get to sit with Chris and he's feeling better, makes me happy. It was entertaining and we enjoyed it.
I agree. I enjoyed the show too. I thought that, there was a couple spots that, that we already went over here. Like I said, it was kind of like a roller coaster, this show. It came up, started high, dropped back down low, came back up, came back down, then it ended, really big with the Brodie Lees segment. A couple things.
It's like every match that you said.
That's right. Peaks and valleys.
Every roller coaster ride is a good match. So you just said it. Look at you.
And bro, great night of wrestling last night. Between Dynamite and TakeOver, it's a wrestling fan's dream. 2020 has sucked for the indies and for a lot. But, man, last night was a great night of wrestling for a shitty year. If you missed it, go back and watch those shows. I haven't seen that good a night of wrestling since the 90s when NWO was hot and DX was sucking it and Austin was 316 and everybody and Bret Hart was figure 4ing people around ring posts. Last night was a dope-ass night of wrestling.
Agreed. Well, Mr. Silvio, do you want to put over any plugs you have? And of course, Mrs. Van Muscles, normally Silvio puts over all your plugs as well. But I mean, since you're here, you can put over your stuff too.
Yeah, you guys know where to find me. I'm at the Chris Silvio on all social media platforms. Chris Silvio Superstar Seminars for my training services. As noted last week, everybody knows that old Silvio has been taking a little bit of heat and trying to work his way back up into a comeback. So I'm not going to be accepting any new students for the time being. I'm looking to resume that around October. So if you want to reserve a spot with me for October, go ahead, because I'm capping that at just 15 students. And for reference, at the most I had 40. So those spots are going to go quick. So if you want one, hit me up. I got some new merch coming out. Maddie, you ordered one of my shirts. A couple of our listeners did. Anybody that ordered those, I talked to the shirt guy. Should have them next week, and I will immediately ship them out to all of you.
So you're going to hand ship them? Like you're just going to ship them out?
I'm hand shipping them myself.
I'll talk to you off. I'll talk to you offline. I'm going to have you hold mine until I get to Colorado. I don't want to get the shipping all weird since I'm moving out there in about a month. Yeah,
we'll figure it out.
Anyway,
but yeah, so those are coming out, and I have a little merchandise project coming up soon. Throw a little teaser for the future. So good stuff.
Well, good stuff, Miss Van Muscles. How can people learn from you? I know you have a Patreon.
I do have a Patreon, Jenna Van Muscles. That's where Instagram, Facebook. You can find me, Patreon, Instagram, Facebook, all the same thing, Jenna Van Muscles. A big wrestling jack chick comes up and you can't miss me. So there's only one of me. So that's where you can find me.
And the exact address is patreon.com/Van Muscles. Instagram, we are at Jenna Van Muscles. Twitter, we are at Van Muscles.
There you go. And you can not only is she a jacked female chick, she's also getting her hair done. You can watch that on her social media too. Fabulous.
What the hair did.
I was blonde my entire life, and I was sick and tired of getting compared to Charlotte Flair. I'm one of a kind. If I change my hair and I get a shot, sometimes I just wanted to kind of match Silvio now. So we have the same color, but I was blonde for, I won't tell you how many years, but long enough this was scary. And I did it on camera and it was.
Well, I thought you looked better anyway than Charlotte Flair. So
thank you. I appreciate that. There's too many memes of me and her. So I'm over it. I'm my own human. And so I look forward to this change in my character and fun, exciting stuff. You'll just have to wait and see. That's right. You are. And I got one more shout out, a special shout out to my nephew, Jacob. Happy birthday. Jacob's turning 9. Huge wrestling fan. Jenna and I got him some cool gifts. We got him a Masters of the Universe infused with WWE ring, a couple figures. He got Balor, he got AJ. And he got a special gift from Uncle Silvio. I passed down to him my tights that I won the OVW Television Championship with, my ring jacket, and a pair of tights that I defended the OVW Heavyweight Championship with. So looks like we got a second generation Silvio coming up.
Whoa. That's going to be amazing. Well, guys, I'm Matthew Schaffer here. Good vibes only, as my shirt says, if you're watching here on YouTube. Of course, we appreciate you listening to Light the Fuse each and every week here on hackerhamin.podbean.com. You can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Hamin Media Group. You can check us out on YouTube at Hamin Media Group. You can go to twitch.tv/Conspiracy Horseman. Oh, now that was my train of thought. Bin Hamin. Happy birthday, sir. If you listen back to this, we appreciate you today. So you're the ripe old age of 29, Silvio. He's almost 30. He's almost there. He's getting young boy. He's a young boy. He's a young boy. So go see Ben Hamin on his Twitter. Give him a happy belated birthday if you listen to this on Monday or later, or tune into the Monday locker room, like I said, on twitch.tv/Conspiracy Horseman tomorrow morning and tell him how much you appreciate him. Go to ProWrestlingTees.com/Ben Hamin /Stevie Richards /Greek God Papadon /SEG shirts. I'm your Matthew Schaffer, your host of the most, lives on the West Coast. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Matthew_Schaffer. Check out my podcast, Check My Bows, South Park Review. And I think that's it. We're out. Light the fuse. Y'all. Boom.
Boom. Bye, y'all.
We out, bitches. Next week, Dynamite's on Thursday. Remember it.
Remember that.